On the Boland Report, U.S. Senate confirms Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. The Dow plunged nearly 700 points. New COVID-19 restrictions are issued in Canada. All this and more for Monday, October the 26th, 2020. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Boland Report for October 26th. Let's get right into the news. Amy Coney Barrett has been confirmed to the Supreme Court late Monday by a deeply divided Senate. Monday, with Republican overpowering Democrats to install the U.S. President Donald Trump nominee days before the election and secure a lightly conservative court majority for years to come. Trump chose to fill the vacancy of the late liberal icon Ginsburg potentially opens a new era of rulings on abortion, the Affordable Care Act, and even his own election. Democrats were unable to stop the outcome. Trump, third justice on the court as a Republican race to reshape the U.S. justice system. Barrett is 48, and her lifetime appointment as 115th justice will solidify the court rightward tilt. Monday, 52 to 48 votes, with the closest court confirmation ever to a president election, and the first in modern time with no support from a minority party. The spike in COVID-19 crisis hung over the proceeding. Vice President Mike Pence's office said Monday he would not preside at the Senate session unless his tie-breaking vote was needed after Democrats asked him to stay away when his aide tested positive for COVID-19. His vote was not necessary. With Barrett confirmation assured, Trump was expected to celebrate with a Primetime swearing-in event at the White House. Justice Clara Thomas was set to administer the constitutional oath, a senior White House official said. This is something to be really proud of and feel good about, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said during a rare weekend session Sunday ahead of the vote. He scoffed at the apocalyptic warning from critics that the judicial branch was becoming a mirror in political politics that declared they won't be able to do much about this for a long time to come. Pence's pressure, a president presiding for the vote, would have been expected, showcasing the Republican priority. But the Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer and his leadership team said it would not only violate virus guidelines from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, but would be also a violation of common sense. Some Republican senator has tested positive for the coronavirus following the Rose Garden event with Trump to announce the Barrett nomination last month, but they have since said they've been cleared by their doctors from quarantine. Pence was now infected, and his office said the vice president tested negative for the virus Monday. Democrats argued for weeks that the vote was being improperly rushed and insisted during the all-night Sunday session it would be up to the winner of the November 3rd election to name the nominee. However, Barrett, the federal appeal court judge for Indiana, is expected to be seated swiftly and begin hearing case. Speaking near midnight Sunday, Senator Elizabeth Warren called the vote illegitimate, and the last gasp of a desperate party. Several matters are awaiting decision just a week before the election day, and Barrett could be the decided vote in Republican appeal order, extending deadlines for absentee ballots in North Carolina and Pennsylvania. The justices were also weighing Trump's emergency plea for the court to prevent the Manhattan District Attorney from inquiring tax returns, and on November 10th, the court is expected to hear the Trump-backed challenge to the Obama-era Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Trump said he's wanted to swiftly install a ninth justice to resolve election dispute and hopeful the justice will end the health law known as Obamacare. During the several days of public testimony before the Senate committee, Barrett was careful not to disclose how she would rule on any such cases. She presented herself as a neutral person and suggested it's not the law, Amy, but her writing against abortion and ruling Obamacare showed a deeply conservative thinker. Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the committee, praised the mother of 7 as a role model, conservative woman who embraced her faith. Republican focus on her Catholic faith, dismissing earlier Democratic questions about her belief. Graham said Barrett is a pro-life, but she's not going to apply the law aiming to all of us. So let's catching up with top stories from the weekend, making headlines over the weekend. The people of British Columbia have re-elected the NDP government in the midst of a global pandemic. The NDP government gained 11 seats, and the Liberal Party lost 11 seats, the worst in their party history. The NDP has promised to help workers affected by the pandemic by expanding the $10 a day daycare, a one-time grant of $1,000 for all British Columbians, as well as a rent freeze for the next year. Votes are expected to be fully tallied within the next 2 weeks after the record mail-in ballot are counted. According to some stats, 52% of the population voted in the election, the lowest since 2009. The NDP is projected to take 55 of the BC 87 riding, compared to 29 for the Liberal and 3 for the Green Party. It will be the first majority government for the NDP in British Columbia since 1996, and while the BC Liberal will stand as official opposition, it would be the lowest seat count the party has ever had since 1991. Wilkinson, 63, has served in several cabinet positions within government, including the Minister of Justice and Advanced Education. Andrew Wilson announced today that he will be resigning as BC Liberal leader after the worst showing. Andrew Wilson has resigned as leader just 2 days after the party had the worst provincial election outcome in decades. Wilkinson announced his resignation in a very brief address to the media on Monday. He said he asked the party president to begin work on finding his successor and that he will step down when his replacement is found. Leading the BC Liberal has been a great honor, but now it's time for me to make room for someone else to take over this role, he said. Wilkinson took no questions from reporters. The Saturday night election results saw John Horgan, BC NDP, capture a majority of seats, a disastrous outcome for the Liberals that led to the possibility that Wilkinson, who was elected leader in 2018, would lose leadership of his party. The Liberal faced a projected loss of 12 seats in the legislature after voting day. As many as 525,000 mail-in ballots were expected to be counted in the next 2 weeks. There could be a lot of the moon lacks ocean and lakes, the hallmark of Earth. But scientists said on Monday lunar water is more widespread than previous knowing. Water molecules are trapped within mine grains on the surface, and more water could be hidden in ice patch residing in the permanent shadows, they said. While research 11 years ago showed that water was relatively widespread in small amounts on the moon, a team of scientists is now reporting a definite detected water molecule at the lunar surface. At the same time, their team is reporting that the moon possesses roughly 40,000 square kilometers of permanent shadow that could be harbor hidden pockets of water in the form of ice. Water is a precious resource and relatively plentiful. Lunar presence could prove important in future space missions seeking to extract and utilize water for the purpose of drinking supply or fuel ingredient. A team led by Casey Hellman, NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland detected molecular surface on the lunar surface, trapped within natural gases or between debris grain. Previous observation has suffered between water and its modular cousin, hydrochloride. But the new detection used a method that yielded anonymous finding. The results were published in the Journal of Natural Astronomy. The stock market plunged with COVID-19 worries. The stock market around the world sold off on Monday as surging coronavirus infection prompted a new wave of fear and uncertainty barely a week before the U.S. election that could reshape a global geopolitical. The Dow Jones Industrial Average finished the day down at 27,685, down 689 points, or 2.3%. At the lowest point at the benchmark, a 30 large U.S. companies were off by more than 900 points. The broader S&P 500 and technology-focused NASDAQ fared slightly better, but both closed down by almost 2%. The reason for the selling was a new wave of fear washed over the market. COVID-19 infection are rising in many places. The Spain government declared a national state of emergency on Sunday and included an overnight curfew, while Italy has ordered restaurants and bars to close each day by 6 p.m. and shut down gym, pools, and movie theaters. Numerous Latin American nations are also set their own daily case records over the weekend. After 2 days, record days of more than 80,000 new cases over the weekend, the 7-day average of new cases in the U.S. is now at 68,767, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. And nobody is quite sure what the response is going to be, said Colin, a chief market analyst with the SIA Wealth Management. Are we going to see widespread lockdowns or more targeted rollbacks? Markets are in dire cautions in the headlights. The Canadian stock got swept in the gloom, although on the whole, they held comparatively better. The TSX index was lost 257 points, down 1.6% on the day. Travel-related companies were the hardest hit, with shares in Air Canada losing more than $1 to close at $15.91. Those same shares were valued at more than $50 a piece in January, but then that was before COVID wiped out demand for air travel. Energy companies were battered too, as the price of oil lost more than 3%, with the barrel of North American benchmark known as the WTI closing at $38 a barrel. Shares in 3 of the biggest oil companies in Canada all fell. Renewed coronavirus fears were the main rolling markets, but the U.S. election was also a factor. People are starting to take money off the table, and he said they aren't sure what the results might be, or it will be disputed. So this is fear and uncertainty. People don't know what's going to happen. Hope are also fading that Democrats and Republicans will come together on a narrow stimulus package. But AC, head of the global market strategy, said that some sort of deal is likely to be once the uncertainty election can be settled. It's going to be a little bit volatile for the next week, depending on the results, but we're not expecting weeks of uncertainty, she said. When we come back, the latest global news headlines, as well as COVID-19 updates. And here's the latest stock market updates before we head into a quick break. Welcome back to the show. We got tons of updates for COVID-19. Provincial Health Officer Bonnie Henry has announced new restrictions on private gatherings and home after confirming a record high 817 new cases of COVID-19 over the weekend and 3 more deaths, the largest number of new cases in a 3-day period. The new numbers cover a 3-day period reporting since Friday, with 317 cases reported between Friday and Saturday, 293 cases between Saturday and Sunday, and 207 new cases between Sunday and Monday. The province is seeing the result of increased social gathering over the Thanksgiving weekend, and the mounting cases, partly in the Fraser Health and Vancouver Coastal Health regions, are concerning, Henry said. This is a bit of a sober weekend for us, she said. To get through our COVID-19 storm, it's required us to do our part. No exception, no workaround, no trying to get around the very few but important rules we have in place. The increase in new cases come as a direct result of social gathering happening in private homes, Henry said. In her new health order, restricts gatherings in private homes to no more than immediate households and the safe 6 additional people. A number she's acknowledged may be still too many for some households, depending on space, a number of people already living together. Henry said it's become clear that gatherings of fewer than 50 people are not always safe. We need to pay more attention to those settings where we have people coming together for celebration, Henry said. This is going to be a challenge for some people than others, but this is something we need to do as a community. The province restrictions of no more 50 people remains in place, but there's a caveat, Henry said. It requires a venue to have enough space to ensure physical distancing between everyone. Henry said enforcements will be stepped up to ensure public health policies are followed, with a focus on the Fraser Health region, where there's an increase in new cases being identified. Orders are the last results, but it does not reflect how seriously we need to take this now, Henry said. Henry also said now is an exception that British Columbians wear a non-medical mask in public, stopping short of making them mandatory as the province headed into the cold and flu season. Wearing a mask is an added layer of protection in areas where it's not always possible to socially distance, like the grocery store, Henry said. Henry said she also asking businesses to review their COVID-19 safety plans with this in mind and ensure protocols continue to be followed in areas where people gather, like lunchroom. There is now 2,325 active cases of COVID-19 in BC, with 77 people in hospital, including 26 in intensive care. Today, 13,371 people have been confirmed to have COVID-19 in BC. As of Monday, 5,077 people are under active monitoring by public health workers because of potential exposure to the virus. There are currently 4 new active outbreaks in long-term care homes, with 21 active ongoing outbreaks in the healthcare system, 19 in long care, and 2 in acute care buildings. There's 1 new outbreak at the prison pre-trial service center. On Monday, the Fraser Health Authority declared COVID-19 at 2 more long-term care homes, according to the statement. Staff members at both Amiel Senior Community in Surrey and Agassiz Senior Community in Agassiz, BC, had tested positive for the virus. Around 80 to 90% of all BC continued cases be linked to known cases or cluster, Henry said. More than 50% of identified cases of COVID-19 are in the Fraser Health regions, where the province is honing in on contract tracing and other efforts to manage a mounting caseload. The province strategy to continue to be identify where transmission is happening to keep other areas of the province open, Henry said. We are not seeing, for example, transmission in restaurants where people are following the safety plans, so we are not looking at closing restaurants right now, she said. What we are looking at is adjusting to those plans where we're seeing transmission happenings. Alberta brought in mandatory limits on 15 people at most social gathering in Edmonton and Calgary on Monday, after the province reported 1,440 new cases over the weekend, including a record of 572 on Saturday. The province has also a record of 4,477 active cases on Sunday, an increase from 826 from the total seen on Thursday. A total of 7 additional deaths were reported over the 3-day period from Friday to Saturday. You have heard me say many times that we need to achieve a balance between minimizing the risk of COVID-19 and minimizing the risk of harms of restrictions, Dr. Dina Hanshaw, the province chief medical officer of health, said in a news conference on Monday. It's required to keep the spread of COVID-19 manageable. We are also now across a tipping point in losing the balance we have been seeking. This weekend's COVID-19 tells the story clearly. We identify an average of 480 cases of COVID-19 per day over the weekend. The new 15-person limit in Calgary and Edmonton applies to gathering where people are mixing and mingling, Hagshaw said, such as dinner parties, birthday parties, social events, weddings and funeral reception, retirement parties, and baby showers. The limit does not apply to dine-in restaurants or theaters, worship service, or weddings and funeral service, she said, but it does apply to gatherings before or after such events, such as a wedding reception or a social event at a restaurant. We are following the evidence and implementing a targeted measure that will help reduce transmission and limit the risk of cases growing in both cities, she said. The 15-person limit is temporary. It will be reassessed after 1 month and can be lifted if we see our growth rate or the R value decline below 1 and new cases constantly below 100 in each city. My sincere hope that we will see a case of decline enough that to reassess the approach and lift it within 1 month. Manitoba Premier Brian Pilla delivered a blunt message to people who are ignoring public health orders after officials warned that they're seeing too many COVID-19 cases with a large number of close contact, putting a strain on the provincial health system. Thoughtful Manitoba are making a tough sacrifice, while other people are doing dumb things, and those dumb things are endangering all of us, he said at a news conference on Monday afternoon. Grow up. Stop going out there and giving people COVID. The Chief Provincial Health Officer, Dr. Brent, say his contact tracers are having trouble identifying close contact because of known cases, because many people can't remember everyone they've been in contact with. That would be difficult for you. It probably means that you had way too many contacts over that period of time, he said at a news conference Monday afternoon. The province announced 100 new cases of Corona-19 in Manitoba, with 80 people in the hospital, a test rate of 7.1%, and another death at the Parkview Place long-term care home. Many of the new cases are linked to social gatherings, including Thanksgiving, he said. In one case, someone went for a medical procedure without disclosing that they'd been in contact with some known COVID-19 case, which meant a dozen healthcare workers, including an entire surgical team, had to self-isolate for 2 weeks. Another person who likely acquired COVID-19 at a faith-based gathering visited a personal care home, being an outbreak at the building, he said. Another case, a person attended a funeral at a Lake Manitoba First Nation on October 12th, while they're an infection but did not show any symptoms. We are in a pandemic. We are expected to see cases, but what we shouldn't expect and what we shouldn't accept are people having 50 contacts, or people going to work when they're ill, or people not being forthcoming with healthcare provider. When we come back, the latest sports updates. We'll be right back. welcome back to the show. David Bradley, the Hamilton business owner who owned three NFL CFL franchises, died. He was 79. The BC Lions said in a statement that Bradley died in his Burlington, Ontario home Monday morning. A cause of his death was not provided for the owners and chairman of the Lions. Bradley was born in Montreal but raised in Hamilton. After attending McMaster University, he began his business career with General Motors Reception Corporation in Hamilton before London Life Insurance. He also bought Wellington Orklet Limited, now Orklet Industrial Limited, auto parts manufacturer in Stony Creek, Ontario. He remained the company owner and president. Bradley entered the CFL in 1987 as the owner of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The franchise became community-owned in 1990. But as a resident of Burlington, Ontario, wasn't long gone, returning to football ownership in 1997 when he bought the Lions. He also owned the soccer Vancouver 89ers and later the A-team Vancouver Whitecaps until 2000. David has been a proud and fiercely loyal owner of our team, a championship of the Canadian Football League, a leader for whom his love for our game in our country went hand in hand and spanned decades. We share our deepest sympathy with his family, friends, and admirer, Rick. President of the Lions said in a statement, one of his final acts of devotion to the Canadian football team was a clear expression of his desire that be the stability of our club be maintained through a smooth transition following his passing. We will work closely with David Estate to follow that plan. Here's the latest sports headlines for the latest updates for the sports. Let's take a view of that. I want to say thank you for watching the Boland Report. As always, visit WNewsNetwork.com for the latest news, weather, sports, and more. And follow W News Network on social media. Just search W News Network on whatever social media platform you use, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on those. And thank you for watching the Boland Report. And as always, see you tomorrow evening for the latest news. Have an awesome rest of your evening.